Anytime NASCAR comes to Watkins Glen, you know you're going to get a good race, and today was another example as to why Watkins Glen is probably one of the most popular tracks on the NASCAR circuit. Welcome back to the episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. We just recapped the race from Watkins Glen, just wrapped up, and once again, Hendrick domination. Remember we said a couple weeks ago, some people were saying, oh, is Hendrick starting to slip? Well, yeah, they proved us wrong that Hendrick has not slipped and are back ready to challenge for the championship. But it was a very up and down day for Chase Elliott. This race, I think, proved that he is, in my opinion, the GOAT on the road courses. Yes, I'm even saying he's better than Gordon and Stewart during their era. I'm going that far. That's how confident I am in me thinking that Chase Elliott, he's that good on the road courses. Because look at how his day started, alright? He started at the back of the field. Originally, he was going to start, I believe, 11th on the grid, but he had to start at the rear due to inspection issues. Not only that, so did Christopher Bell did, who also had a very fast car. Both drivers would lose 10 driver and owner points, where I believe the crew chiefs were issued a $25,000 fine, and both crew chiefs of Elliott and Bell were ejected. So yeah, you had a double whammy for those two drivers, but it definitely didn't stop either one of them, especially Chase Elliott. I mean, when the race started, he had Brad Keselowski and Joe Logano up towards the front. Within 4 laps already, Elliott gained about 12 spots. But the entire race was really fun to watch. Even during the early stages of stage 1, we saw great battles up front between Keselowski, Logano, I think even Truex was up towards the front there. But those 3 drivers had really good battles. But Keselowski, it was right around there, maybe lap 5 or 6, where he had a lot of issues. He was reporting brake problems and the car was just not up to par. And then, when they were battling on lap number 9, heading into turn number 6, Keselowski spins all by himself for the race lead. Logano becomes a new race leader. Around that time also, the competition caution comes out. From that point on, Keselowski's day went downhill very quickly. On the restart, you had now Logano and Larson 1 and 2. In the meantime, we saw this in other road course races like at Sonoma, where we see some drivers would pit to set themselves up for stage number 2. This was another example. With 4 to go, we saw drivers like Blaney, Harvick, DiBenedetto, Truex, and a lot more pit with 4 to go to set themselves up for stage 2. Logano and Larson, they stayed up towards the front to fight for the stage 1 win. Larson tried to put a lot of pressure on Logano, but Logano was able to hold his ground and would win stage 1. Larson would have to settle for 2nd, Hamlin in 3rd, Reddick in 4th, Byron rounds out the top 5. Then you have Kyle Busch, Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott in 8th, still scoring stage points after the day he had. Austin Dillon 9th, and Eric Jones rounds out the top 10. And should keep in mind though that Keselowski, after he spun that first time, I think on lap number 9, he spun again in turn number 1. Again, reporting just brake issues the entire race. He just had a horrible day. It was really bad. Not just for him, but it'll eventually be bad for Team Penske as a whole. So stage 2 began with Stenhouse and Truex that started on the front row. You had Chase Briscoe make a really bold move on the inside for a 3-wide battle to take the lead in turn number 1. Truex still able to get the drive off the corner, and he would hold on to the lead while Briscoe would have to settle for 2nd. The second caution will come out on lap 25 for James Davidson, stopping in the middle of turns 6 and 7. But during that same time, Ryan Blaney also spun heading into the inner loop. He was the 2nd driver to have problems spinning alongside with Keselowski. And that was really it. By the end of stage number 1, all of the Team Penske drivers, they all just had really bad runs, including Joe Logano. We'll get to that later on. But restart came out with 13 to go in stage number 2. Briscoe got a horrible restart that allowed Kevin Harvick to slip into 2nd place ahead of his teammate, while Truex got out ahead in 1st. He then had some new contenders in the mix like Christopher Bell, who started on the back with Chase Elliott. Now he finds his way out towards the front and even flexed some muscle. There was a bit of contact between him and Chase Briscoe coming into the S's, but they had a bit of contact, but no harm, no foul. The damage didn't really affect their car. Yeah, while Christopher Bell, who was having a really good middle portion of the race, Chase Elliott, he was able to move his way up towards the front inside the top 10, but then he had to pit again with 10 laps to go in stage 2 after he flat spotted all his tires trying to enter turn number 1. When that happened, I'm pretty sure me and a lot of us scratched off Chase Elliott off the list. We thought, okay, maybe he might get a top 10 or so, but he will not be a factor for the win. But boy, did he prove us wrong. Anyways, stage 2 ended. All that happened behind Truex. Smooth sail to stage 2 victory. Bell, his teammate, in 2nd, Harvick in 3rd, Larson 4th, Briscoe rounds up the top 5, 6th would be Chastain, 7th to Benedetto, 8th Hamlin, Logano 9th, and Kyle Busch would round out the top 10. Stage 3 took place at the halfway mark of the race, and you had Truex, Bell, and Larson 1, 2, 3. And also by this point in time, we would see more new contenders like DiBenedetto, who had a strong car at Road America, Ross Chastain up to 4th, Kyle Busch to 7th, and Byron and DiBenedetto rounding out the top 10 in 9th and 10th respectively. By that point in time, around the really early portions of the race, we saw an incredible battle for the top 3 between Larson, Bell, and Truex, including this awesome moment coming to lap 47. Christopher Bell dives to the inside of turn number 7, gets side by side with Truex, but with them side by side, that allows Larson to pounce, trying to make it 3 wide. Bell throws a huge block on Larson, and they somehow get single file off into turn number 1. It was incredible racing between those 3 drivers, clean but aggressive. But the race in between those 3 drivers would go over the line a few laps later in turn number 1. Larson was underneath Christopher Bell, but Bell gave him no room. I mean, Larson was by the curb by the time they entered turn number 1. Larson gets into Bell, Bell spins, Larson goes by, no caution. Then a few seconds later, on the very same lap, at the same turn, Brad Keselowski, again with brake issues, he spins again in turn number 1, but this time he unfortunately collects his teammate Joey Logano in the process. Again, no caution. Really unfortunate because Team Penske, I feel like Logano had a really strong car, especially in stage number 1 when he won that stage, but after that contact, he really was never able to recover. And it sucked to see Christopher Bell. It was his fault. It was a racing incident, but he should have gave Larson more room because Larson was to his inside, but it was a racing incident. It was unfortunate that it happened though, because Bell really had a strong car, and I felt like could have been a very strong contender for the win. Final round of pit stops began on laps 55, 56 around that time. Truex and Larson, they pit 2 laps later on lap 58. Now, when they came onto pit road, Larson was about maybe 1.5 seconds behind Truex, but when they came onto pit road, Larson was able to eat away at Truex's lead, and when they got onto pit road, they were virtually side by side. On top of that, you throw in the fact that Larson's team has had the best average finish on 4-tire pit stops this season. They will provide another excellent pit stop from Larson, and Larson was able to get out ahead of Truex and build up to about a 2-second lead after pit stops. Meanwhile, you had 2 drivers, Denny Hamlin, who was gaining some ground, who gained, I believe, 15 spots after pit stops, and then Chase Elliott. Now remember, with Chase Elliott, he had to come onto pit road a lot later than everybody else because he pitted a lot earlier than everyone else with 10 laps to go at the end of stage number 2. So he had fresher tires, and he had a real fast car. He was just passing cars like it was easy. He passed cars like it was on a video game when you put the AI on easy mode. That's how he was passing the cars. Elliott gained 16 spots after he pitted, and with 20 laps to go, he was 10 seconds back up to 3rd place. But then we're thinking, okay, well, 20 to go, 10 seconds back, surely Chase Elliott's going to be nowhere near in contention. Again, the guy is just too good. Chase was one of, if not the fastest car on the racetrack. 15 to go. He chops the lead down to 6.8 seconds. 12 to go, 5.9. Then he was 1.5 seconds behind Truex. Then when that happens, then the question began, okay, how long can Truex hold up Chase Elliott? Newsflash, he didn't hold him up for that long. He only held him up for probably 1.5 laps. With 8 to go, he got by Truex and was now just 5.3 seconds behind Larson. But it was right then when he passed Truex and how he passed Truex, you could tell Chase Elliott used a lot of muscle in order to get by Truex for 2nd place. When that happened, I was worried that he probably used up his stuff by that time because he was really being aggressive, moving his way up towards the field, trying to get up to Kyle Larson. And I thought the only way Elliott could be a contender for the win is if there's a caution coming out, because Larson, it's not like he had a bad car. Larson had a really solid car and was able to hold his ground on Elliott. He wasn't as fast as Elliott, but he could still hold his ground. I just felt personally that by the time Chase Elliott got to 2nd place, yes, there was still, I think, 8 to go, but he probably used up his stuff, and he did. He was really gaining only 2 to 3 tenths, sometimes didn't even gain at all, when in reality, when you're 5.3 seconds behind with 8 to go, 8 to go, he needed to gain at least 6/10 per lap to catch up to Larson, and he was nowhere near that. Now, lap traffic did help Chase Elliott close the gap. Larson and Alfredo had a bit of a battle in turn number 1 where they made some contact. That allowed Chase Elliott to close up the gap to about 2 seconds on Larson, but Larson, again, was still able to hold his ground, and Larson would go on to win at Watkins Glen for his 5th win of 2021, his 11th career Cup Series win, and his 2nd win on a road course, and the first time he has gone back to victory lane in 6 races since Nashville in June of 2021. This is also, I believe, the 4th time Larson and Elliott this season have finished 1 and 2. And 3 of those 4 races have gone to Kyle Larson's way. Remember, back at Sonoma, Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott also battled for the lead. Larson was able to hold off Elliott, and Larson went on to win. So it seems as though we might have a new battle on our hands on the road courses between Larson and Elliott for Hendrick Motorsports. Now let's take a look at the unofficial results. They are to the left of your screen. So another 1-2 finish for HMS in 2021. JGR teammates Truex, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin 3rd to 5th. Byron in 6th. Bell was able to rebound nicely to a 7th place finish. Kevin Harvick and Chase Briscoe teammates 8th and 9th. And Tyler Reddick rounds out the top 10. Very solid run for Chase Briscoe and for Tyler Reddick, especially for Reddick, considering the position he's in the championship standings. He needed to have some solid runs from here on out, and today he did just that. 11th to Benedetto, 12th Chastain, 13th Kurt Busch, Ryan Blaney, and Austin Dillon round out the top 15. 16th was Almirola, 17th Buescher, Custer in 18th, and then Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Alex Bowman round out the top 20. Here are some other notables. Daytona 500 champion Michael McDowell 21st, Logano 22nd, Bubba Wallace 23rd, Ryan Newman in 25th, Eric Jones, who had a pretty strong car, or at least he showed some speed earlier in stage number 1, but he had an incident where he spun, I believe, in the carousel later on in the race to finish 27th. Then Ryan Preece 28th. Daniel Suarez would finish 31st after he reported power issues during the final round of pit stops. And then you see Brad Keselowski ending off a horrible day in 35th position. Now let's take a look at the playoff grid with just 3 races to go in the regular season. Kyle Larson, now he's number 1 on the playoff grid, but it's also important to note out that he is now tied with Denny Hamlin for the regular season championship. That is huge, that battle between Larson and Hamlin. Hamlin now plus 302 above the cut line, but he wants to get those 15 playoff points heading into the playoffs in September at Darlington. Harvick plus 95. Reddick still the only one that's in the danger zone, plus 15 ahead of his teammate Austin Dillon. 18th, 19th, and 20th, virtually the same between Buescher, DiBenedetto, and Ross Chastain. So overall, my thoughts on this race: I loved it. Loved the race. I mean, it's Watkins Glen, so of course it's going to be a very good race. And I loved how quick it was. I think there was a tweet from Matt Weaver that said that the race was about 2 hours and 11 minutes. Yeah, it was about 2 hours and 11 minutes, that race, which I love. I personally like when races are short. I don't think every race needs to be 3.5, 4 hours long. Sometimes it's good to have a short race, and this was a really good race. Didn't take up too much time, didn't overstay its welcome. It had great battles, a lot of new contenders, very interesting comeback battle with Chase Elliott, and it was overall a really good race. It wasn't race of the year by any means, but it was a really solid race. I give it maybe an 8.5, 9 out of 10. It was just really good. Also, NBC did a really good job with the radio style broadcast. I enjoyed the camera angles that they used, like the bat cam and the, I guess you could say, the digger cam in the S's and in turn number 7. Everything about this race, from the broadcast to the actual racing, was really good, and I left that race really satisfied. But man, we gotta talk about Chase Elliott. When he flat spotted those tires and pitted with 10 to go in stage number 2, I thought, okay, it's done. The fact that he was even in contention to win this race says a lot about how dominating Chase Elliott is. He went through the amount of obstacles he had to overcome and still nearly won. He still nearly won with all those obstacles that he had to overcome. On top of that, you have to consider the fact that we're in 2021 now. It's not like back in the late 90s and early 2000s where you had those drivers that were exceptionally better than others on road courses. Now, you have so many more drivers in contention. Larson, Truex, Kyle Busch, Harvick, I can go on and on. So many good road course drivers. For Chase Elliott to overcome all that and to pass that many good road course drivers is mighty impressive. And that's why I think personally he is the GOAT on road courses in NASCAR, because you can talk about Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart during their era. And yes, their era was really good and they dominated those eras. You consider the level of competition they had to deal with compared to Chase Elliott. Elliott has to deal with a lot more competition in terms of drivers being good on the road courses compared to Jeff Gordon or Tony Stewart's era. They didn't have to deal with that much competition compared to Chase Elliott, at least in my opinion. I don't know. I think what Elliott has done since he entered the Cup Series, or since his first win at Watkins Glen in 2018, has been nothing short of spectacular. I think in the past 9 races, he has finished inside the top 2, I think in 7 or 8 of them. 7 or 8 times on different road courses, on the Roval, at Sonoma, at Road America, at Coda, at Watkins Glen. 5 different road courses, he has finished inside the top 2. Doesn't matter what road course you throw at him, he just finds a way to come out on top, or at least in this case, very close to coming out on top. But yeah, that is gonna conclude this episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. Tell me in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts on this race? Did you like it? Did you not? But until next time, my name is Jett from MDK. Thank you all so much for watching. Congratulations to Kyle Larson, you're a winner at Watkins Glen.